Welcome everybody to Soul Nectar Tribe. This is Soul Nectar Tribe Gathering, and I have a podcast called Soul Nectar Show for those of you who may or may not know, and I've had it for about 8 years, and I've been having conversations on that podcast about all kinds of spiritual topics. And so Akeem and I decided, let's bring these spiritual discussions into a tribe gathering. Let's gather people together, because the thing about being on a podcast is that it's so one directional. Like, it's just like you're just having this conversation. It's usually pre-recorded, and then it goes out there and hopefully somebody listens to it. But you're not seeing people's faces. You're not engaged in the conversation. So we wanted to do something a little bit more engaging. So like I said, we've been started off this year. We had the conversations in January about the mastery of self by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Mastery of love.
Mastery of love. We also talked about the fifth agreement, which is be skeptical, be discerning.
The 5 attachments.
The 5 attachments. We had to have 2 months on that one. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Did we learn a lot that time?
Oh, yeah. Lots of goodies.
And so we're taking a little breather from the Toltec wisdom, because every time we have one of these and we say yes to it, what ends up happening is that we go through it ourselves, we go through the transformation that we're talking about in the book. We actually experience it. It comes up in our life, comes up in our relationship. So we said, let's go to the animal allies this time. So we're going to talk about the animal allies. And so the animal allies that we're working with are from the Moonai Key. And so the Moonai Key means love energy. And this is a activation in your energetic field of these seeds of archetypal energies of these 4 primary animals we're going to talk about tonight. And I received this as part of my training with my teacher, Alberto Vialdo, at the 4 Winds Light Body School. I received these archetypes in my body. And I have been playing with them for since 2012-ish. So it's a long time, and it's amazing how deep it goes when we're working with these animal allies. And we also work with the elements in our training. And so we work with the 4 elements. But, the animal allies have their own medicine. They have their own power, their own way that they support our spiritual embodiment. And at this time of the Great Awakening, we have this support that many of us didn't even realize we had, beyond just intellectualizing our spiritual progress. We actually have support to tangibly feel, express, and evolve our consciousness.
Yes. And this conversation about animal allies also can seem a bit to some as a bit in the shamanic side. And is also aligned in the same way as a nature washer. It's appreciating the connectedness with our observation of nature and how the nature comes together and creates this beautiful way of existence in the cohabitation, the commingling. Some of my studies in martial arts, one form of Kung Fu that I have, and this is notorious of Kung Fu, there's also the animal forms. It's where you begin to study aspects of, okay, this is what tiger does, which is like Jaguar, right? This is what lion does. You start to study, okay, this is what crane does. And there's ways that you connect observations of nature into daily practice, into some sort of disciplinarian practice of some sort of higher way of being and existing. So we bring it with the frequency that includes connection to the 4 directions and to our Native American ancestry and our offerings to that connect, not just in Native America, but throughout the entire world. Ancient African connection and culture and practices, ancient Europe practices, ancient Asia practices. It's all intertwined, and some of that can seem a bit shamanic as well. But what it's bringing us to is this place that there's a great power in being willing to look outside of yourself and get inspiration, and artistically being able to go back inside. We also participate with the understanding that what happens on the outside of us is very similarly what's happening on the inside of us, and it's coming out and it's reaching out into the world.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I love that you touched on Native American ancestry. A lot of these traditions that we share in our program are stemming from South American ancestry, South American indigenous traditions, because this is what I've been trained in with the Four Winds Light Body School, comes from these Munai Ki, the series of activations. They come from ancient indigenous traditions passed on for centuries through these family lines. And so that's part of what we're going to be sharing is this piece of an embodiment of what they call the Aini Karpai, comes from the Karo, the tradition in the Andes Mountains. The Rainbow Poncho people came down off the mountain in 2012. These beautiful people are the ones whose tradition this is. And the Aini means right relationship, and the Karpai means initiation. So initiation into right relationship. And so how do we get into right relationship? We work with these animal allies to connect us. And so we both have Native American, North American indigenous ancestry. So Akeem, you want to speak to your Native American ancestry?
Yeah, mine is a mixture of Chata, some Chickasaw, come to find out they're sister tribes, and Muskoki, aka Creek. Those are they're all considered part of the southeastern band of major, larger Native American tribes. Come to find out, they have a very similar creation story when you studying each of those cultures to the ancient Cherokee, also called the Salaki, which happens to be Carrie's.
That's fine. So we bring that forward too, because of course our ancestors come with us. so the ancestors guided me to a fire tradition, and so the Cherokee is a fire tradition. They're fire people, and so are the Quechua, the Caro people in the Andes. So that's kind of just linking that together. How did this Celtic looking woman get down to embody all of these Native American traditions and South American traditions? And so that's a little bit of that explanation. But so we wanted to kind of move through the animal allies one by one. We're going to talk about 4 of them. And we wanted to touch on what is the property of that animal ally when it's embodied, what's its function, what's its medicine, and then some of our experiences with it. And if you have experiences with these allies, feel free to also pop in the chat and share your own experiences. We'd love to hear that. Side note, this is being recorded. And so we'll be sharing this out with everyone who signed up for the webinar. We'll also be sharing it out on Soul Nectar Show podcast. So we've spotlighted ourselves so that if you don't want to be seen by the whole world, you don't have to. But if you don't mind, you can, so we're just letting you know it's going to go public.
Yeah, you can make your voice heard without having to be seen.
There you go. And we'll keep an eye on the chat. And so, so the first ally is Serpent. And in our tradition, in our inner medicine tradition, which is based in my training, we start in the south direction. And so a lot of Native American traditions, they start in the east. They start when they open sacred space, they start opening with the east. And that's beautiful. Well, we start in the south. And part of the reason why is because by the time people that we're working with reach this medicine, they weren't born with it. So they're in their midlife. They're already full swing in their life. And so we've got to start with where you are now. And so the South puts us in your body. It puts us where you are on the planet, in your life, in your body, in the moment you stand in. And that's one of the medicines of Serpent. Serpent helps us to get connected with our bodies, connected with the planet, interconnectivity. And then in the sense of like yogic medicine helps open up our Kundalini energy and unkink us and unblock us. And, because we get so closed off and guarded and protected and defended that we close our energy down. And then we feel separate and small and alone. And so one of the things that Serpent does is help us to reset the reptilian brain that got triggered into fight or flight and get back into our bodies and get ourselves connected back with the heartbeat of the planet and help us to feel supported, loved, and held and guided again as we release these layers of protection that we've built up that have constrained us, actually, have cut us off from our power. This Serpent energy helps us open it back up again so that we can be fully embodied and recognize that is also part of our divinity. Our body is sacred.
And for me, in my experience with the self direction and its embodiment, literally, I said the word embodiment, right? Playing that into it, being in your body about it. For me, the embodiment aspect of the self direction is being in touch with your natures, your body's natures, our mammalian instincts, also our mental processes that want to look out for this body, to take care of it, to honor itself. In my findings with the South direction, it's a great starting place to be in a centering beginning. You know, if you're in a difficult situation throughout the day, we also begin to teach practices about how to get back into your body, recenter in your body. And part of this is breath practices. Breath work practice is super important to get back into your body and be recentered. So you start in the South direction, like Carrie's talking about here.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know why I would say it's only for women. Maybe because I'm in a woman's body. I'll just leave it there. But there's also a piece of this serpent energy that is very goddess-like, and Sachamama is the full name. And that helps to reawaken our access to our sexuality, to our feminine body, to our body as a temple, to our body as a place of honor. And that may not have been how our body's been treated up until now by ourselves and others. And so for a woman, especially, my experience has been like really helping me to own, honor, and cherish my body and my, all the changes my body goes through, and to just be in harmony with this as my temple. It's been really profound, for me working with Sachamama to get reacquainted with myself as a sexual being without a context of like for somebody else, like purely for myself, purely for my passion, um my energy and the flow of the energy through my body, and being comfortable because it's in the root chakra. We didn't mention that, but Sachamama goes in the root chakra. And what's the root chakra? That is like where your sexuality is. That's where your connection, your instinctual center that tells you if you're safe or not, that's in the root chakra. And so there can be a lot of traumas in the root chakra for many women, depending on the experiences that we've had growing up and in our lives. There could be a lot of trauma in the root chakra. So as we bring Sachamama in, she gently helps to wrap us up in love so that we can face these difficult things in our bodies that have gotten trapped. And it could even be ancestral pain. So we don't really deal with the ancestors till the north, but like definitely there is trauma in the root chakra from ancestral women.
Wow. So that says something pretty powerful to my experience on that as well. So first, I'll also start with some other knowledge that I've learned about Sachamama. Think about the Hippocratic Oath. That's when anyone who signs to become a doctor, who goes through their years and years of study, they learn the Hippocratic Oath, which is to do no harm. And what's the insignia for the insignia of medical introduction? It is a snake actually going and tracing in a path, a circular spiral path moving upward, as in a self-improvement of. So the ancestral part, when you spoke to that I had a flash. So Carrie and I last year actually went to the jungles of Peru together. And in the jungles of Peru, one beautiful thing about it is that it's an excellent way to connect with your nature and let your body say what it needs to say to you. So it may sound a little strange, a little odd to some of you, but for me, what came up was a need for ancestral healing. For me, it appeared that I had some pain or slipping in some mud, but it was something I had endured many times more difficult than that moment. But it was just enough combined with the journey that I had to go into back spasms. And not only back spasms, I would lay back and rest, and my back was locked up. So it was took several days of resting, Carrie and I working together. She helped me be able to get up and move around and everything. And also, as we did energetic healing and we were communicating with what's happening etherically. So we did our own internal work. I did my own personal internal work and found that there was some ancestral blockage that was there for me. So this is also connected to what Carrie's talking about with ancestral work, because as we began to focus and I began to put my intentional energy alone or together with her, the ancestral link and what is my ancestry saying, what is happening within my ancestry, what needs to be said, what needs to, the whole questioning process and the curiosity came into effect, and found that, oh, there was some discontent with some of my ancestry that hadn't finished resolving an aspect of my earlier life. So it gave me an opportunity to do some deeper work connecting to my life. So while we could focus on animals about this, we're also focusing on Sachamama, and Sachamama, the serpent, the snake, the doing no harm, the Hippocratic oath. Also, that represents the upward cyclic nature of improvement and healing, and looking at your patterns and look at what's happening on the inside and how can you make yourself better through the process that you're going through. And that's just the south direction. We haven't even
I
gone to
know
the
we
other
haven't even
directions
gone.
yet.
I know it's
Wow.
powerful. I mean, because for you, like it was that lower chakra. It was the root
Yeah.
chakra is where it began because
Mhm.
what's your foundation? I mean, your root is your foundation. So if there's unhealed traumas, ancestral traumas, and things like that, and let's face it, most of us have had a foundation of fear, then we want to clear that out to support a foundation of love. And in my experience, such a mama helps us take that great spiral to shed the old skin, the visual of the snake eating its own skin and just going around and around and around. It's like
Ouroboros.
the Ouroboros. It's
Yeah.
like we are doing that with her. It's amazing. And every day I will work with her to release the next layer of my conditioning, my domestication, and I'll feel her just come right through my body. And sometimes I have like these experiences, like I was floating last week and I was kind of passed out. I'm lying there just on the salt water, and all of a sudden my leg lifts and I feel like pressure above and pressure below, and my spine gets adjusted. Like, how is that happening? Like I felt like I had somebody moving me. So I mean, I think this is my insight and my knowing of my body. This is such a mama helping support my spinal alignment, for my strength. So yeah, I could talk about her all day long. I freaking love her. I love her. So yeah, and I realized I didn't show you guys the pictures. I feel like I want to show the pictures because these are really powerful.
Oh,
Here.
yes, your
Yeah, the
paintings.
paint I did paintings
Yes.
too of
Yes.
these allies. I'm an artist as well, and I hadn't been painting in a long time, but then I got inspired. This is my Sachamama painting. So just take a moment and connect with Sachamama and just, wow. And whatever you feel, like if you feel terror, where's that come from? Because maybe it comes from ancestry. There's a whole lot of programming around Serpent. So yeah, just woo, check it out. Yeah, powerful. So it's a beautiful, beautiful ally. I love Sachamama. And now I guess we'll switch. We got to move on. Otherwise, we'll never get through it all. So let's see. We share, oh, good. It's North American indigenous ancestry, Choctaw and Cherokee. Yeah. I
Mm,
knew I had some familiarity there, John.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Very exciting.
Good to meet you.
Awesome. Yeah. Beautiful. Right relationship means Laura asked the question, right relationship with Mother Earth, with the divine, with love, all of the above, with everything.
All that
Yeah.
is.
With all that is. And
Yeah.
we're entering a time where everything is focused on relationship.
Especially, I mean, even just looking at the latest astrology as of like the 16th,
It's all about
energetically, we switched
relationship.
from Gemini into Cancer or Cancerian, as in uh, inner relationship, outer relationship, self love, self growth.
Yep, exactly. It's a time of reconciliation. It's a time of remembering that we're connected with all that is, and that You know, we're like a cell in the organism, and we're all part of the same body. You know, it's just amazing. So I'm going to give you guys this for our next ally. My favorite. You would think
Jaguar.
Hummingbird's my
Jaguar.
favorite, but I freaking love Jaguar.
Mhm.
So just take in Jaguar for a second. Like, what comes up for you with Jaguar when you see this? I love it. So we'll stop share just so we can see you again. But yeah, I'm in love with Jaguar. So why do I love Jaguar so much? I freaking love Jaguar for the way, mostly because self-confession. I was on a couch in psychotherapy talking about my problems for 20 years, and like using the power of my word to talk about my problems, and then like using big powerful emotions to like create even more of the same. And nobody stopped me to say, hey, by the way, you're a conscious co-creator and you're creating a whole lot of suffering for yourself. I mean, 2 decades. So Jaguar helps with that part of the brain that likes to do that. Jaguar helps with the part of the brain that has big emotions and wants to wrap a story around it to explain life and give it meaning, and like just keep creating more of the same. And it's a limbic brain. So Jaguar is so powerful. It shows up in the West in our program. The West for us is emotions, is water, and is that emotional body. And we are just now learning as a species, I believe, in my perception, how to be emotionally intelligent. And Jaguar assists us with that, because Jaguar is a master tracker. Like, the one thing we know about Jaguar is that Jaguar is pretty much chilling in the jungle on a branch, tracking its prey and not moving an inch, just kind of not exerting any energy at all until the moment it decides to go for it. And then that little thing has no hope for itself. It's done, because Jaguar gets it every time. And so if you're going to go hunting through your shadows, so go tracking, like, where's the root cause of the thing I'm dealing with right now today? Like, where did it start? How? Because you want to pull it out by the roots so that you can actually transform that pattern and not keep repeating it. Jaguar is the solution, because Jaguar can track anything.
It's very direct. Also, it's a
Very
very
sleuthy.
strong, powerful, direct energy. So it's almost like, I guess if anyone watching you sports, you're thinking about in football, it's right what happens in the snap. The moment that they say hut, and then everything is activated really quickly, really fast. Things are happening, and then all of a sudden, cut. It's over.
That gives us a perfect analogy. We just talked about this last night. If Jaguar was a person, it would be Emmitt Smith. I mean, if you guys don't know football, it's cool, but like, Emmitt Smith is my favorite player, mostly because he can get through any crowd. Like, it doesn't matter how big those guys are or how many of them are clustered around. Like, that dude could just move through anything. And this is Jaguar. Like, Jaguar is unhindered. It's an energy that's just so powerful and so unstoppable, and also like really, really in tune, like finely in tune, super spidey senses.
Does all the back work before activating.
Like, it can feel and sense everything in the forest, in the jungle. Like, it just knows what's going on in your subconscious being the new jungle. It just goes, ooh, this is interesting. All right, let me go hunting.
You know, one thing I noticed about the Jaguar, it seems to be really easy for me to discern masculine and feminine energies in the way that the Jaguar operates. Sure, you could say the same thing about Snake or Sachamama, but it's really clear which part is the yang energy, the direct, almost linear, like focused sort of energy, not long lasting, but is like, it's powerful and very quickly and very discerning, and just like that, it's already got lunch. it's already moved on
already. But before that happened,
yeah.
was the yin, because it was hanging out in the jungle.
Yeah, it's the being,
perceiving and being, but
seeing,
like picking up on all the
witnessing.
nuances.
Yes.
You know, like Jaguar increases your nuance receptivity by like 1,000-fold. Like, all of a sudden you're picking up stuff that you didn't like weren't aware of before, or you were just kind of stepping over it.
Yeah.
No more. Like Jaguar makes you viscerally aware of it. Like for me, it is in the second chakra. So as a woman, it shows up in the womb.
Mhm.
And so also that's a great placement for Jaguar for a woman, speaking, just returning to that previous conversation, because it helps to release any traumas that are stored in the womb in the second
Hmm.
chakra. And for a woman, it's really empowering because for many of us, we've been told like we can't trust our intuition, or we're crazy, or don't listen to yourself. You don't, like don't trust that. And so that Jaguar in the second chakra in the womb area helps us activate that womb wisdom. And men also have wombs, so
Mhm.
I don't want to exclude anybody from
Yes.
having a womb.
Yeah.
So you have that womb center, and it helps you to trust yourself again. And it helps you to hunt those patterns that get in the way of that, or that or the conditioning, really the conditioning that we inherited. And it's a great discerner of like, where does energy come from? Where is it mine, or is it someone else's?
From a yang or masculine perspective, um, at least in my study specifically focusing on martial arts and five element theory in my study of martial arts. I'm also a massage therapist. So I also get a chance to work with both male and female bodies. And I clearly know very, very cleanly what Carrie is saying about trauma that stores in the body. I have PTSD clients that I work with as well, male and female, but particularly male. They store their trauma in their gut just the same, but it's more commonly noticed and witnessed at large between the hips and the gut for the feminine body. So for me, a lot of the work is also emotional, also getting back into the breath. Remember, we talked about the breath in the south direction. So now we're talking about the west direction, where it's even more important to breathe at this point. You've already had the practice to get back into your body. Now you're practicing the breath in order to maintain your inner guidance, your inner listening, your inner knowing. Now, also in Chinese healing, this is aligned with something called the Dantian. The Dantian is about an inch below the navel. And it's said with energy work and theory that the aura actually emits out of the whole body. The aura field around the body comes out from the Dantian and spreads throughout the rest of the body from that point. Out and then down across the root, and then up through the back, and then back over, blooming over you. Uh, so that says a lot about the energy body emitting from the gut and that inch below the navel, the place where people learn to breathe again. Once you do that, it's so much easier to get back into your body, being able to breathe from your gut. Looking at babies, babies breathe from the gut. They don't breathe from their chest and the neck like we do, and shoulders like we do. We learned that through what we call in our studies with four agreements, we call it domestication. So in our domestication, we learn to breathe with up here, breathe up here. We get really tight in these areas.
Or like
And
many
then
of us learn to hold our breath.
in these areas,
So
this area gets frozen and this area is doing all the work. So you can see how that connects to back pain. You can see how that connects to a lot of other aspects and things. Anyway, so west direction, a lot to be said
powerful.
there. Come to find out, it's one of my favorite elements too.
I love it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite directions, and particularly because it's about transition and growth and letting go of what's not really you. It's like a
Yep.
snake shedding its skin. So there's the snake in the south direction, and then the snake shedding its skin is like this same elliptical path of being in your body, but letting go of what's not you. When you expire in your breath, it's said that the galaxy itself also is breathing just the same. And so the expiration is almost like the galaxy expanding and allowing space for more to come in.
I love that. You just gave me another piece of the puzzle as to why Jaguar is in the second chakra,
Hmm.
is because that's the place where your power originates.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaguar is all about power. It's all about your power. And we're moving out of this like power over others game that's been being played on the planet, the monopoly game endlessly being played in the family system. Like we're done with that game, and we're moving into power within. And so Jaguar can help us embody our own power and be, in a sense of positive power. your sovereign power and your choice, your power of choice. And we need that discernment and that healing of our reclamation, really reclamation of our power, so that we can then make the sacred choice, of where to apply that power. But, I love that you said that about the breath and about the expansion of power coming from your Dantian, from your second chakra, from, of course, where Jaguar is seated. And then Jaguar will roam around your whole body. So,
I can see it moving up to the
it
self
goes
chakra.
everywhere, but like its home is in the second chakra.
Mm.
And so, but it considers your whole subterranean environment its playground to support you with your conscious invitation to clear things up. Now, I've gotten to a place of so much trust with Jaguar that I will spot things that I'm releasing, and I will say to Jaguar, if that comes up again, feel free to eat it before it even comes up. Like, I don't need to know what the thing is. If it's not for my highest good, just devour it. And I trust you. If I need to know, then let me know. But other than that, have a feast. Like, I don't need to know what all this lower vibrational stuff is, because yeah, I'm going to unblock my energy. And yeah. What is Mary saying there?
Well, Mary just said
Yeah.
something awesome. She showed gratitude. The Jaguar
Yeah.
energy has been a powerful opening exploration. Thank you for this. Now, John also said something really awesome. He said that's interestingly how I experience source energy, Kundalini energy, generating in my body, just below the navel, but inside and around the spinal column.
Yep. And going up.
Perfect. Connected perfect dots with that.
Beautiful.
So yeah, and I'm also seeing here from
Jessica. Yeah.
Yeah, loving Jaguar. Love that you said that it's very direct energy. Would not have been able to fully embrace the energy if we hadn't started it in the South with
Right.
Sachamama getting me into my body and feeling side.
Feeling
Because
safe.
because your Jaguars definitely belongs in the power, accountability, and a brand new awareness.
Yeah, accountability is also really important. Like on the planet, we see so many people mentioning the need for everyone to be accountable, right? And yes, we do. But accountable not in a punitive sense.
Right.
Accountable in a learning sense. But until we feel safe in our bodies again, we are going to fear punishment. So that is that fear matrix at the root chakra. So we are healing that with Sachamama so that we can do what we came here to do, which is learn and grow and gain the wisdom, through life's experiences that are just offering us this buffet of experience. We get to make a choice, have that experience, and then learn from it, gain the wisdom of it. And it's an embodied wisdom because we did it. We didn't just read it in a book, like we lived it. That's a very different, like you can't take somebody's lived experience away from them. Like that is their embodied wisdom. That is undeniable in that person. And so we're coming to, which I'm personally super happy. We're putting a closure on the intellectualization of things and the mental debating of everything into like, what's your personal experience? Because like, I'm never going to refute someone's personal experience. That's just not going to happen. But what we can do is respect each other now. Like this is the birth of respect.
Yeah.
Like when we each have our own personal power, we can respect ourselves and we can respect others. Yeah. By being accountable for our journey. We're learning our lessons, we're gaining the wisdom. We have an embodied experience on this planet, and no one can take that away, and no one should. And so we can all just respect each other's journeys then.
Yeah, and the complete that connects perfectly with the finishing of Jessica's message. Yes, trust myself while being safe in my body. Definitely need to feel safe before I allow Jaguar in. Yeah. And then, so what happened for you when Jaguar, being one of your first, not, I mean, Hummingbirds in there,
I
but
want to say
Jaguar
for
was
me, it was
really close
muddled.
home.
It was really muddled because when I went through the four winds, we got all of the Aini Karpai in one ceremony all at once. And it was like the first week-long retreat. So I do it differently because I feel just my own sense of myself and my whoever's attracted to me. Nothing against my teacher. I love my teacher. He's amazing. But like we all want to take our medicine and like put a little tweak in there. And my tweak is that like I feel like breaking it out and giving people a chance to really be with the archetype in isolation. It gives us a new appreciation of that energetic. It helps us to really embody it, bring it deep inside of us, and like open it up, you know? So like I really appreciate this morsel by morsel approach. And yeah, I feel like people are benefiting from it so far. So far so good. And I want to say like, you know, we in the training, the actual training, the inner medicine training and level 1 is where we receive the entire Aini Karpai. But we do it by direction. You know, we do it a piece at a time, going around the medicine wheel to integrate it into our being so that we can really fully experience that archetypal energy and have that blossom, you know, before the next one comes in. So that's, yeah, I just wanted to say that.
Beautiful.
Okay, well, let's move on. I could talk for hours.
Well,
apparently.
we're ready to go to the next direction.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what you guys probably thought was Carrie's favorite. Well, of course it's Carrie's favorite. It's her name. Why on earth wouldn't this be her favorite archetype? And, you know, it's probably just because it's so close to home, it's harder to see it. But Hummingbird,
The North Direction.
the North.
The North Direction is one of my favorite directions because it represents for me the ancestral portal, the ancestral connection placement. For me, after I've done work in the South and the West directions, progressively going into the North direction is a place that I like to go to pay homage to ancestry, all of my ancestry, and give gratitude, you know, rather than ask for something from them. Yeah, ask for something coming from the place of gratitude and giving and sharing and appreciation, like from the heart appreciation, and letting the transmission of this message get through by the hummingbird. Now, come to find out, the hummingbird has its own frequency. When it flaps its wings, it's said, and this is connecting with Indian shamanism. Would you like to speak to the moving of the wings and the changing of the frequency and it being thought of as connecting to a portal by any chance? You want to go into that?
Well, what happens with Hummingbird is that the medicine of Hummingbird is the opening to your soul. So it opens up that multidimensional portal so you can access your full self, like your full range expression of self. And then that is a lot of self. So it's your soul. And if you think about it, like all the lifetimes that you're currently embodying right now, because time is an illusion. And so therefore it's all happening now. So like how many lifetimes are you currently embodying? How many lifetimes have you embodied throughout your history, if there is such a thing? And then like opening up access to all of those aspects of you, your higher self, your most essential self, and then all of the experiences that you've embodied to have, as well as like your ancestry in this particular lifetime, right? In the embodiment of this lifetime, which may include past lives in the same ancestral line. So like there's a whole lot of complexity that comes with Hummingbird in terms of how much you can access through this portal. And it's also the inner child. It's a divine child. It's the restoration of awe and wonder and magic and mystery and innocence and creativity and inspiration. Like it's just such a beautiful ally for the return of innocence.
That connects with what John just said. He said the hummingbird painting feels expansive. Doesn't that feel childlike?
Yes, it does. And it wanted to be on a rainbow background, like in a cosmic like portal in the middle of this, you know, cosmos.
Yeah, and very high, great heights, seeing and being at the higher levels. You can even see with that beautiful spiral is literally like a portal, right?
It is like drinking from the nectar of the whole galaxy. What could I taste today? You know, and what kind of experience could I have? It's that kind of joy, you know, and joy is an embodied experience. Joy is rooted in pain and suffering and sadness and grief. I mean, it's the lotus blossom, you know, it's like that mud of our existence that those lower vibratory patterns that we inhabit that are so uncomfortable for many of us coming to this, third dimension from whatever dimensions we're from, probably like, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20,
Yeah.
and then we come down here into the third, it's like so clunky and like, stuck. And, but like that experience of like dealing with all that mud is what creates the opportunity for this flourishing of the lotus, which I really feel is joy. It's like joy and peace and transcendence and like, but transcendence with full awareness and presence with, like, it's just a beautiful
With the
gift.
contrast of the mud being an initial part of the blossoming out of flowers or the lotus, the unfolding process, and then opening up this beautiful like pearl. This is like opening love. It's
With
like
lots of grit inside there,
I keep hearing arms wide open, but it also gives the contrast of mud and the texture and the feelingness of it and the nurturing that it gives. So the lotus can actually come up and blossom out. So you need the mud to have the lotus. I think there's a Thich Nhat Hanh had this saying, no mud, no lotus.
Yeah, this is true.
So we got to have the
It has
mud.
been true up until now. So we'll see what else could be true, but that has definitely been true up until now. And I always like to say that just because I like to leave potentials open for other realities to express.
Sounds very expansive with that childlike hummingbird
Very
energy that
expansive.
you're.
I can imagine so many more potentials. And that's really part of the gift of hummingbird. And it opens up in our will center. That's where we put the seed. And so that helps us with what many people experience on their spiritual path is like this sort of struggle and fight with the ego. It's like wrestling for control, and the ego is really just fighting itself. And so, the hummingbird comes in to just remind us, you're just like trying to pin the tail on the donkey in the wrong direction. Like just turn over here and, like it's okay. And sense the nectar, like feel the nectar, follow that guidance, follow that inspiration, move to that new place, right? Edging God out. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but hummingbirds is such a sweet little creature that I feel like anybody's wounded inner child is just delighted by the sight of this little creature and goes, okay, this is trustworthy. I can trust this little beautiful bird and I can allow it to lead me, right? And so that medicine is what many of us need to open up those defenses again, to put the guard down, to put the sword down and to simply breathe, like Akeem was talking about, breathe open, and just let the medicine of love in again. Let beginner's mind take over and not forget in the sense of like erasing it, but just like maybe what happened yesterday isn't true today. And how would I know if I didn't let go of the story?
Right.
So that soul imagination
that connects with the mud lotus thing again as well.
Yeah.
Not being so attached. If the blossom was so attached to being with the mud, it could never rise up out of it.
Ooh, that is very potent what you just said. Honey, that was powerful. I love that. It's true. So if we don't rise up out of the mud, we never become the lotus. And we've got to let go of that stuff. But it needs honoring, and this is the piece where, we can't, we kind of just want to do a dump all the garbage out and run away. But like that never works. And all of a sudden it's there again. So it's more like that piece of really claiming the wisdom from it, understanding why it was there for us, through us, as us, by us, owning that accountability that this is a life experience I chose to have, and like really letting that medicine come to me inside my heart, inside my soul, and then asking, from all of these raw materials of my life, what beauty can I create? And that is the focus of Hummingbird. Is all about beauty.
Mary said, boom.
Hummingbird is all about beauty. So yes, flowers. I've always loved flowers. And Hummingbird was actually the first ally that came to me even before I met Alberto, came to me I think 6 months before I started Four Winds training. So Hummingbird showed up in a vision when I was buying this house that we're sitting in. And I was in, I had been divorced, and Akeem is my life partner, second husband. Um, but I was buying this house, but it was already under contract. And my real estate agent was like, well, you're not going to get that house because it's already been back and forth so many times. They usually settle. So I went into a drum journey, and I was like, that's not my fate. I know this is my house. And so I just went into a drum journey, and I just started visualizing being in this house, kind of Joe Dispenza style, like visualizing being in the house and having parties here and living here and being in the kitchen and making dinner. And my deceased grandparents came to visit me in that vision, and they were like, we love this. It's a beautiful house. So I had like ancestral approval. And then all of a sudden, because I was kind of making all this happen in my mind, all of a sudden I got caught by surprise. I'm in the vision in the house, in the vision and in the kitchen, and this moment of expansion happened where spirit has just entered the house, and this rainbow light rose up in the kitchen window with this rainbow hummingbird just hovering there. And I literally dropped my drumstick with my jaw down, like with my eyes closed, totally in the vision, like, wow.
So Carrie,
That was like,
so Carrie, you're bringing
and
in
then the
something
phone
here.
rang, the phone
Yeah.
rang right then. And because this is another, like, this
Yeah.
is the weaving of the dreams, right? The phone rang, and my real estate agent said the deal just fell through. They want to have your offer. What?
So this is Carrie sharing that manifestation really does work. Energy
Totally.
manifestation really does work. And this is actually considered one of those manifestation secrets, even her illustrating how she manifested this,
And we get to live here now, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So we love it here. Anyway, I'm glad that they said yes to my psychic invitation. So the last animal archetype that we worked with in this this particular course that's coming up, yes, we're going to tell you about what we have to offer, is eagle. And so eagle is in the heart chakra. So it's that spreading of your wings. It's that hollow bone of spirit where you just let spirit play you like a flute. Where you just let spirit come through you, move through you, the divine inspiration, that ecstatic experience of spirit moving through, opening your heart up, releasing all of those blocks and limitations and those walls we built, and just letting ourselves be fully loved and held and supported and cared for, and knowing that we are worthy of this gift is just so powerful.
Yeah. And this also connects to bigger vision, bigger view, being able to see things from a stand back perspective. There's great power in not looking at everything with a magnifying glass.
Although you're saying that because
yes. Go on in.
So, there's this card in the Mystical Shaman deck by Alberto Vialdo and Colette Baron-Reed that has this eagle with this like magnifying glass with like, and its eye is in the center of it, and it's gigantic. It's like, if you could just imagine it like flying high, but then like just eye is right on you, watching everything you do. My embodiment of eagle has been like that because I realized over the last, in like 2019, I was channeling this book called The Second Wave, which has been on the charts ever since. And I didn't know who I was like, who am I channeling this? Like, is this like Yeshua? Is this like, like, who is this that's giving me this information? And I was very suspicious and untrusting, and I was, scared of my intuition. I was scared of this opening of my crown and all of this coming through. And so like, I didn't even know what I was channeling from, but it was all really good stuff. Like it was pretty loving stuff. So I was like, well, it must be good because it's really loving, so everything in here is calling me forth to be more compassionate, more loving, more kind, more generous. So it's got to be good. And then like the week before I was going to publish that book, we went into medicine ceremony, and I had this like transcendental, blow your brains out, like amazing, ecstatic experience where I was literally sitting face to face with White Eagle, who is my oversoul. And that was
You didn't know
really
that at the
shocking.
time.
And it was like coming home. It was like all of these visions I'd had from the time I started waking up. And he was pointing out all these things to me, like, here's this, and here's this. And I showed you this over here, and I showed you this over here. And do you remember this? Oh my gosh. I was like, oh, wow, this is so much information for me. And it was so powerful. My heart just burst open. And yeah, so I know who I am. And it's been powerful to have this eagle medicine. And from time to time it does feel a little bit like, like I'm like under the eye, like every little move I make is being watched. And that's a little intimidating sometimes. So
Well, see,
I love eagle medicine.
well,
And
I'm also seeing that eagle is giving you the opportunity to make a choice.
yes,
You could
constantly.
either be omnipresent, and by the way, this is also connecting with the eagle is also connected with the falcon. And in ancient African, ancient Egyptian culture, we're talking about Horus. The Greeks called him Horus. His name was really Heru. Well, with Heru, the eye of Heru is what you see on the back of the American dollar. That's an all-seeing eye. So you're seeing this connecting to being able to sit back, look at the whole thing. But you can either look with the magnifying glass, or put the magnifying glass out and look at the whole
big
picture. You can
Mhm.
see that this thing over here seems so big, but when you fly up and out, oh, we're grains of sand on the beach. Oh, okay. So we're what we're doing is,
Insignificant and so important.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So important. Yet every little thing that we do, while we could put a lot of weight on it, that the entire world is resting on our every action, it gives us some breathing space,
So much pressure.
Yeah.
I'm only human, by the way. So I really love eagle. And we forgot to mention that the hummingbird in the north is the frontal cortex. That's the part of the brain.
Mm.
But the eagle is the corpus callosum. And I find this really significant because it connects the two hemispheres of the brain. So it connects your left brain with your right brain, your masculine with your feminine, your body with your spirit. It's like the logic, realism with the imagination. And so it's connecting and balancing all of these energetics. It's powerful.
And in that same alignment that we're talking about, your right leg energetically has connection to the left side of your brain, and vice versa for the other side. The right side of your brain is connected to the left foot. So imagine this crisscross that's happening in your body, and your corpus callosum is holding all this together. It's keeping literally you being able to walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay?
Channel your spirit and be human at the same time, which is
Yeah.
what we're doing. We're going into Homo Luminous.
Yeah.
This is the activation of the rainbow body. This is available for every single human on the planet. And the masters have been on the planet doing this. Yeshua ben Yosef, also called Jesus. We also have Buddha. There's many, many examples of souls who embodied this divine essence. And I've seen people in the mountains of Peru. I've seen medicine women that have the full rainbow body around their auric field. Like it's just, you could see the entire bubble of rainbow light. It's amazing. So it's right here, right now. It's available for all of us. And, so this is why I'm really excited about bringing it out more and inviting people to try it out. So we have a next class. We just finished a class and it was awesome. We had about 20 people came in, and we did like these activations over 5 weeks. And it was the synergy in the group was just outstanding. And it was just like, oh, this is my jam. I love these people. And so I know there's another group like that coming together starting on June 30th. We've already got some people flying in for that. I mean, literally, not really flying here, but like it's over Zoom, so it's international. But But yeah, 1 hour a week on Sundays at 2 p.m. Central, beginning June 30th. And there's still a half price deal. So it's priced at 333, but it's 147. And I'll put the special link in the chat and also email you guys back. But if you're watching this back on Soul Nectar Show, you guys can check the show notes for all that information. That'll be totally in the show notes. And join us because it's going to be amazing. We had such an amazing time this first time. What's different is last year I actually did the animal allies, but I did a journey. I only did the journey because I felt like, when I say journey, I mean shamanic journey. So every week we take a shamanic journey. So we're on like a Zoom call like this. And instead of just me blathering on at you for like an hour, I mean, we had a good conversation, but you know what I'm saying. We have like half of that time is actually a shamanic journey. You're in a meditative state. You're going in, you're working with the ally, you're journeying with the ally, you're feeling the ally, right? And it's very powerful to have the journey. And last year I did that and it was great. But this year, the difference was I was told, go ahead and give the seeds of the Aini Karpai, because people can start embodying this. And my concern previously had been, well, what if all this stuff starts unpacking and then they're kind of like in the middle of a spiritual awakening, dark night of the soul, and they don't have support? Like, I didn't want to be an instigator of that. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of worried about that. But the guidance I've been getting is it's okay. Like, don't worry, don't make myself responsible for that. It's all right. And the invitation is to come into the full training, which there is holding of that. There is a lot of holding. So this year has really been cool to see this group go through the process, to test drive it. It was amazing, off the charts. People had some moments where it was like, I'm up against an edge, or I know there's more. I'm not totally embodying this. And I was like, relax. You just did 1 week with this ally, like in our regular program, you got 6 weeks with the one ally. So like, take a breath. It's okay. Yeah. Don't expect to embody it right away, but like right away, you'll definitely have an experience.
We do the work to support you in such a way that you can open up with the experience that you need to have authentic to you and be supported to be able to move through it, and in a group setting, which makes it a lot easier to move through it. So you're supported.
And I'm going to put the link in the chat too for the full details. If you want the full details for the program, it's all up there. It'll also be in the email for anyone who registered. The replay will go out. Otherwise, it'll be in the show notes down below. Any last words on these animal allies?
Well, I want to go back and comment for a second.
Boom.
What Hank said. I like what Hank said.
Yeah.
And I want to harp on the goodness of this here. Ego, an acronym meaning edging God out. I'd agree with you. And I also want to add one little piece to that. The ego is one aspect of making your one self the God, the complete focus, the zeroed in intention. And then when the ego realizes it's not alone, is this expansion and this mind blown to, oh, wow, there's a bunch of other egos right next to me. And then, oh, I'm inside of an ego. Oh, wow. Okay, so all of us are together in this. And how mind-blowing that is. At least that's what it was for me when I realized that. Wow. At first, I had a positioning that ego was not good to have. And I actually did my own personal work to edge my own ego out, to push ego out of my life, be completely selfless. And then I realized I was missing the mud. Ego is the mud for me. So I needed to have the mud. And the ego helped remind me of the pig sitting in the mud. Well, it was necessary to slop around there for a minute. So now we can stop mud wrestling and stand up.
Yeah, I love that, Hank. The prism of our uniqueness. Yeah, and the water balloon, that skin that holds the drop separate from the ocean, but it's still part of the ocean. Yeah, we get to be both and, right? We both and yeah, so powerful. What a great episode. We talked to you guys for like an hour, and at least we got to see your faces while we spoke.
Doesn't quite feel like an hour though, does it?
It doesn't feel like it goes by so fast. There's so much I love about this, and it's just great to see all your faces. And
Good to
Yeah,
see
it's
you.
one step above a podcast.
Good to see you all.
But so great to see you all. Thank you for joining us. And we hope that we get to meet you and get to know you better. Some of you we already are getting to know better. And we hope we get to know everybody else better too who's listening to this. And come with us on a fantastical journey. And we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Tribe. Join us next time. We'll add you. We'll invite you to the next one. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for being with us.
Blessings to each of you.
Blessings, everybody.
Thanks for
Have a
joining
beautiful
in.
night.
Thanks for putting your words in.
Nectar. Yay, Laura. Have a great evening, everyone.
Good night.